Hey everybody, Crow here with a pickups video. As you may or may not know, if you've been watching my channel recently, I went to the Midwest Gaming Classic. It was about, it was almost a week ago. I think I'm going to be posting this video on Saturday, which would have been exactly 1 week from when I went. And I had a good time there. I posted a video up, I think it went up Sunday, of just walking through that. And if you want to see that, I guess I'll put a link in the description. I don't like saying that because then I actually have to remember to put a link in the description. Anyway, while I was there, I did pick up a good number of things, among which were 13 games and other odds and ends. So we'll just go over the 13 games first, and we will go from there. Now, usually when I do these pickup videos, I don't really put my favorite thing that I got first, but in this case, I'm going to make an exception. Because this was something I kind of knew I was going to buy beforehand, and that is this NES game, Haunted Halloween 85. And it was a couple weeks before the show, and I knew that this game was going to be there. It's like a brand new game. I think it was like the first time you could actually buy a copy of this was at this event. But then I completely forgot about it. I was like, this looks interesting. I saw screenshots. I'm like, this looks interesting. I might want to get that. It was $40 for a loose cartridge, but I did get the entire box, which does come with a box and a manual, and it was $60. And I was like, yeah, if I'm going to buy one thing, that's what I'm going to buy. And when I got there, I kind of looked around, and then I ran across the booth, and I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot all about this. I had already bought some stuff. I was like, but I got to buy this. And they had some demo stations set up. I played a little bit, and I was like hooked instantly. I was like, yes, I am not going to regret buying this game. And as you can see, the cartridge is green, and it's funny, it's got the little sleeve here. It says Retrotainment Games. So, everything's replicated. There's a manual in here, and the manual is full color, the type of thing you don't even really see these days. But yeah, everything's completed. It's the entire package here. I played the game, and it is really, I just really like the way they went with the game. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of, Monster Party on the NES. It also reminds me of, the way it plays, it kind of reminds me of a mix between River City Ransom and Splatterhouse Wampaku Graffiti on the NES. Kind of reminds me of those two games mixed together. It's really fun. I only made it to the second level, really, but that's all I really did to capture some footage. I may actually take the cartridge out and put it into a custom clan case like I did for all my other games, and just put this on the box on the shelf where I keep my other boxes for NES games. But just the way this was made, it's the entire package. I'm really glad I picked this up. Even though I knew I was going to pick it up to begin with. But I just love it. This is by Cash and Culture. Before I forget, I should mention that this will be out on Steam in the future, I believe, if it's not out already. So it will be available for digital download as well. I was at a booth and I bought 3 games there. 2 of the games were marked $20. One of the games was marked $5, and I said, and the $5 game, I didn't really know if I really wanted to get it or not. So I just said, you know what, will you take $40 for all 3 of these? And they said yes. So the first of these 3 games is Frogger 3 Deep on the Commodore 64. I felt it was worth $20. Loose cartridge, every time I see this game for any system, it usually goes for, $15 or more at least. So I figured, I think the last time I bid on something like this, I got outbidded. So when I saw this, I was like, yeah, this is really interesting. This doesn't even say anywhere on it it's a Commodore 64 cartridge. I could just kind of tell, but I'd never played Frogger 2 3 Deep before. And I thought this was a good opportunity to pick this up, and you know what, I played the game a little bit, and it confuses the hell out of me. I'm going to need more practice on this. The other game I picked up, this was something that was kind of funny because I picked it up. I was like, what is this? This is obviously an Atari computer game because it is a left cartridge, but this is Crazy Shootout. And I was like, I'd never heard of this game before, and it was marked $20. So the first thing I did, I didn't even really look up to see if $20 was a fair price for this. I'm guessing that because I had never heard of it, $20 was a good price for it. But what was really funny was that when I went to look up footage to see what game this game really is, first video that popped up was an old video by Atari Leaf. And that seems to happen occasionally when I look up Atari games. I was like, what is this Atari game? And an Atari Leaf video pops up. So I looked at it, and it looked like a Berserk clone. Now, I didn't get to listen to the review. I just watched it. And so I was like, yeah, this looks awesome. And you know what? If I didn't get the Frogger 2, I would have gotten this one for sure. Because I don't have anything like a Berserk on an Atari computer. And you know what? I think this game is a little bit more fun than Berserk. I was playing it. There's no evil auto, but there is a time limit that you have to clear the room out. The robots just keep appearing and appearing and appearing until you finally get them all. Very similar to Berserk. You touch the walls, you die. The robots can kill each other by walking into each other, shooting each other with their own lasers or whatnot. But it gets frantic at times because these robots seem to be smarter than the robots in Berserk because they usually will not walk into the walls. They'll try not to, but this game is freaking awesome. And you know what's also awesome is the after you die, your extra guys that are in the corner, they'll have a death animation as well. And it just cracks me up. I'm so glad I bought this. This may actually be my second favorite pickup of the show. We're going to move on. This was the game I wound up getting for free. This was the $5 game that they were selling. And that is Winter Games on the Atari 7800. I've got a good number of Atari 7800 games. Winter Games is one of those cheaper games that I just never had. Now, I played Winter Games a lot on the Commodore 64, and I knew that this one wasn't going to be as good as the one on the Commodore 64, but you know what? I got it for free, basically, so I'll add it to my collection, Atari 7800 collection. It's not so great, but you know what? It does have its moments. Yeah, there's really not much more to say about this. If I had seen it for the Commodore 64, I would have bought it in a heartbeat. I did see some other Commodore 64 games, but actually, no, I take it back. I saw Marble Madness for the Commodore 64 on diskette, and I already had it. And I was like, oh, why couldn't there be anything else? I just see a bunch of Atari 8-bit computer games, but they were floppy disks, and I don't have a floppy disk drive. So I'm going to move on to the next game here. This is for the Atari 2600. Yeah, I can't believe I'm still buying games for the Atari 2600. This is Kung Fu Master. I was kind of interested in this game. It's a port of the arcade game, and also kind of parallel to Kung Fu on the NES. It's the same game, basically. You know that the Atari 2600 version isn't going to be that great. I'd never played it before. But you know what? I saw this in somebody had a bin, and everything in the bin was $1. And this game was in the bin. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy, or should I say, I'll buy that for $1. So, yeah, the gameplay isn't that great. You're much better off playing it on the NES. But you know what? For $1, I ain't going to pass it up on the Atari 2600. We're going to move on. I saw this. Earlier I said there was a booth that was selling a bunch of in-box Atari 8-bit games. They also had some a Commodore 64 disc games, too. Like this one. Junior Pac-Man. Now, they did some other ones, but I didn't buy them because they were asking quite a bit of money for them. This one was $12, so I picked it up. You know what's funny is this is ported and published by Thunder Mountain. I say it's ported by Thunder Mountain as well, even though I don't know that for a fact. I just don't see any developer name on this, and looking up a game like this is very difficult to begin with. But I think this was still new sealed, and I did open it up. I did tear the flap off, and if you do open it up, there's a disc, there's a manual, there's even a warranty card in there, or a registration card. Not a warranty card, but a registration card. I'm almost tempted to mail that in. And what's funny is that it's the publisher is Northbrook, Illinois, which isn't too far from where I work. Actually, I worked in Northbrook for a little bit of time, so I didn't know Thunder Mountain was located so close. Yeah, I popped this in, I loaded it up, I played it a little bit, and you know what? It's a really good version of Junior Pac-Man. The only thing is that the level doesn't scroll. Everything is on a static screen, But you know what? In a way, I kind of like it better that way. It makes the game a little bit easier that you can see everything at once. But it's not arcade perfect, but you wouldn't expect it to be. The cutscenes were there, at least one cutscene, because I did play and get to one cutscene. But really glad I picked this up. This is going to go great in my Commodore 64 collection. And you know what? That was kind of the thing I was really looking for. That's the kind of thing I like to find at shows like these. Commodore 64 games, Atari 8-bit games, things you don't see a whole lot of. Well, let's move on. There was a booth, and I bought 2 Famicom games for it. Now, the problem with buying Famicom games is half the time I don't know what I'm buying unless I look it up first. And this game, I just kind of looked at it as like, you know what, I'm just going to buy this game. It's $5, and I'm going to be surprised when I pop it in. And that game is Buggy Popper. And I was like, Buggy Popper, look at that cover. And Buggy Popper, that's such a weird name for a game. I bet I'll be able to play this, because you know, half the risk is you'll buy a game, you don't really know much about it, and then I wind up not being able to play it because it's in Japanese and you need to know Japanese, and you're not going to really be able to fumble your way through it. The good news is this game is completely playable without knowing Japanese. The bad news is I already had it on the NES because the alternate title is Bump and Jump. This is Bump and Jump, the Japanese version. Now there are some minor differences, but I'll still keep it. I think it's funny that it's a Buggy Popper. Now I did pay, like I said, this is like $5, so I didn't pay too much for it. And this is one of 2 Famicom games I bought. The other Famicom game I bought at that booth was Karateka. And this was $8, but I bought this because I like Karateka. I do like it. I kind of like even the 7800 version, even though that's like the worst version of Karateka. But I remember playing that in school, like the Apple IIe computers, maybe even the Apple II GS, if I'm remembering correctly. But the thing is, though, that this was never released on the NES in the US. This is a Famicom-only port, so I was pretty confident in buying it. And you know, it plays fairly well. I'm not the greatest at Karateka, but I did play a couple games. I almost made it to past the first couple of screens. There's this one screen where guys just keep coming out of it, and I just finally was like, oh man, how many guys are coming out of this? I gotta stop playing and play something else. Anyway, let's move on. I found another booth that had a bunch of PlayStation games, PS1 games in there, and they were all $2 each. I kind of took a glance in there, and I ran across this one, Rally Cross 2. I do have Rally Cross, and I do like that game. I've never played Rally Cross 2 before, and you know what, for $2, I was definitely going to pick this up, especially since it's complete. You know what, it doesn't seem to play as good as the original one. The physics in the original one, the car seems to bounce all over the place. I think that they kind of toned it down in this game and made it a little bit easier to play. But you know what, I think I still prefer the original one either. Now, I haven't gone back and played the original one compared to this one, but I'm still glad I picked this up. I mean, $2, you're not going to go wrong. Moving on, there was another bin, same booth that was selling this $2 PS2 game, and they had $2 Game Boy games, and I picked up this one here. This is Dead Heat Scramble. The reason this stuck out in my mind is that because Classic Game Room did a review of this game recently, and it looked kind of like fun, so I picked it up for $2, why not? And you know what, this game is freaking hard. I did not, and the time I was playing this, I was not able to beat the first level. I swear I was driving as fast as I could, and I avoided all the obstacles, and I still didn't make it to the end of the first level before time ran out, or the first checkpoint, or whatever you want to call it. I may be missing something. Maybe some way to go faster. I'll have to look up the instructions, but for $2, I was not going to pass up Dead Heat Scramble. Now, this next game is what I would call the, I guess, the dud of the pickups, because, you know, I'll pick up some stuff, and I don't know what it is. It sounds pretty interesting, and I get home and I play it, and I'm like, oh man. So this was kind of like the biggest disappointment, and I had pretty low expectations when I was playing this too. You know what? Give me a second. I gotta look up the name of this, because it's in Japanese. Alright, so I had to go look up the name of this game. But this is Jissen Pachi Slot His Hoo Hoo Fist of the North Star. Now, I bought this at the Windy Gaming booth, and I knew it was going to be a slot machine game, and I knew it wasn't going to be that interesting. But I was like, oh, Fist of the North Star, and this was $12 too. I'm going to buy this. And I popped, and I was kind of like, sometimes slot machines can be fun or whatnot. And I popped it in, and this was freaking boring as hell. Now, this was one of those, it's like emulating or simulating a slot machine where it's got one of those video screens in it. And they made it really boring because it just, nothing ever seems to happen. I mean, sometimes something happens. There's like no music. Now, granted, maybe I can turn music on in the menus. Maybe I'm missing something. But even when I change slot machines, all it does is change the graphics. It doesn't actually change what's on the screen or what's in the thing. Maybe there's something I have to unlock. I don't know. I played it for maybe 20 to 30 minutes. And really, nothing was happening. So this was, I think, the dud of the show. Yeah, I don't see myself going back to this. But you know what, in an odd way, I think I'm going to keep it just because it is Fist of the North Star. And I do like Fist of the North Star. But, honestly, of all the Fist of the North Star games out there, this is the worst one I've played. Moving on, there was another booth, and I picked up 2 games I've been looking for a while there, and the first one there was Rocket Knight Adventures, and this was $30. There was no manual. I would have gotten this a lot sooner, but for some reason I thought I already had it in my collection, and when I went to go look, it wasn't there, and then I had to put it on my list of games to get. So I saw it, and I was like, yep, gotta buy this one. And what's funny is even when I was picking it up, my wife was like, don't you have this game already? I was like, that's what I thought, but I don't. So I thought $30 for the game and the case, sans manual, was okay. And the game is a lot of fun. I did play through a couple levels. But, yeah, we're going to move on. The other game I bought at that booth is a game I've wanted for a long time. Now, I know I never had this game, and it was Metal Jesus Rocks. That reminded me, not once, but twice, like over the past few months, that this was a game I wanted. And I finally found it. This is Stubs the Zombie, Rebel Without a Pulse. And this was $30. Again, it's just the disc. There's no manual. But I played it, and it's fun. It is really fun, even though the game took a little bit of a detour after the first, 10 or 20 minutes of gameplay. But there's just so few games out there where you get to play kind of the monster or the bad guy, and you could just run around and eating brains and, doing whatever you want. That's the goal. I mean, there's no playing the good guy. You're the bad guy. But the plot of the game is also really crazy and nonsensical. Stubs the Zombie pops out of the ground. That's how you're introduced to him. No lengthy backstory. However, I do feel that the way this town is, and how futuristic it is, that's going to lead to something. That's going to lead something in the storyline to explaining how this zombie came to life. Alright, just a couple of odds and ends I picked up as well that aren't specifically games, but the most game related to these was I picked up at the Windy Gaming booth a Pocket Station. And I had never... I was kind of always interested in getting a Pocket Station, but I wasn't going to buy one online or anything. This was $25 at the Windy Gaming booth. They actually had another one with a lanyard for $30, but I don't like lanyards, so I didn't buy that. And I actually saw another booth selling these as well. But this is kind of like the Dreamcast VMU type of thing, only for the PlayStation 1. It's kind of funny because the front flap flips open, and that's how you slide it in and use it as a regular memory card. Now, I just put a battery in here shortly before filming. It takes a CR30, was it 2032? Yeah, a CR2032. I had to go to the store and buy them, and I actually needed them too because it's the same battery that my key fob uses for my car, and I just used my last one, so I needed them. I kind of messed around with it, don't know what I'm doing. There seems to be some sort of Tamagotchi thing in here. I don't know what I'm doing with it, it's in Japanese. And I'm not even really sure what games actually utilize this, but I'll look it up. But it was just something I kind of wanted to have. Other than that, I just have this. I found this. I thought this was kind of interesting. It's just a Mystery Science Theater 3000 mouse pad. You know, the guy was like, "Oh, it's $2." Hey, yeah, I'll buy it, $2. And then finally, I picked up a couple of Pop Vinyl figures. 3 of them. Actually, I picked up 4, but I accidentally bought one twice. But the 2 video game related ones I'll just show off here are Kratos and Sackboy from Little Big Planet, since they are video game related. So 2 more are Pop Vinyls added to the collection and I've got the whole space for these Pop Vinyls, but I've already run out of room, so I don't even know where I'm going to put these. So I thought I wouldn't I ran out of room so quickly, and don't know where I'm going to put these, but I had to have them. These were, what, $12 each? I think the price tag says $12.99, but I know they were like $12 each at the booth I bought them at. But that is everything from the Midwest Gaming Classic, at least everything I'm going to show off here. So that's it. See y'all next time. Bye.